Hey, welcome back to another episode of Brooklyn Beards and Ball. This is the recap show of Week 8. Some very interesting, very interesting outcomes. I'm very excited about what my team did, but I know you got your stars. Stars and stripes up on your shoulder blades.
You see the star. You see it. You see it. I want everybody to see that.
You see how everybody's swagger changes when someone wins?
Whole different mood.
Of course.
No doubt.
So how you doing, Rod?
Yo, I'm here, D. Yo.
There you go.
There we go. Let's get it, man. Let's get it.
Let's get started. Wow. Week 8 recap.
Yo.
Very good stuff.
Good stuff.
Let's talk about the Niners.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's talk about
San Francisco 49ers versus our children. Okay? We own the Rams.
Yeah.
I can't stress it enough. Our show on Friday, I expressed that I really wasn't concerned. I got a little concerned once Debo was ruled out, but we got CMC, and he is already paying huge dividends. 3 touchdowns, a passing touchdown, a rushing, and a receiving touchdown. That hasn't been done since 2005.
Yeah.
And it just seems that there is such a coaching edge over McVay that he can do nothing with us. We're down, Debo. Yeah. It's okay. Rest up, Debo. Yeah. It's all good. We got it from here.
Yeah.
Jimmy G looked good. Defense played really well. First half, Kupp got off, but second half, we shut him down.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very good display of defense, offense. Our running game was good. And I'm excited about what our team is going to do moving forward. What do you say?
Yo, I can't lie, man. The San Francisco 49ers, they look good. All right. I'm going to give you your props. Y'all look good. I think the Niners are going to be dangerous, though, once you guys get full strength, particularly on defense. And another thing too with CMC, man, he rushed for 94 yards or something like that, 18 carries. So, he had a big day on the ground as well. And we saw the multiplicity of skills that he brings. Listen, that was a major pickup for the 49ers. I think that created a lot of distance between you and everyone else in the NFC West. Like you said, the Rams are done. They're just probably a richer version of the Detroit Lions at some point, right? Because that's all they're going to be. They have no running game. Their defense, losing Von Miller was huge. This team just doesn't have it. And the problem is now with Kupp, we don't know how long he's going to be out. But again, there is no creativity in this offense. And it's unfortunate because with McVay, right, that's the first thing you equate. Guys like him and Shanahan, these guys have always been very creative offensively, but they just don't have the players. And I just don't think that they're going to have anything going. But I have to say, the 49ers, they look really good. And Jimmy G played a very, very well composed game. It was turnover free, of course. And so, the Niners are going to be a problem. Look, y'all knocked us out of the playoffs last year, and you also won a few other big games on the road in last year's playoff run. I got to say, the Niners are a team to be reckoned with. They're still very good. I know it's a lot of questions surrounding Jimmy G. What's going to happen to him and his play going down the stretch of the season or even further into the playoffs, right? Can he make the big throw? Can he step up, in those critical moments? And that's going to always be the question surrounding him. But everything else is solidified. You know what you're going to get from CMC. Granted, he stays healthy, and you know what you're going to get from that defense, but it's going to be Jimmy G. But I will say this, when Debo gets back, you're going to really be able to offset some of that burden because you don't want to wear CMC out. You got to be careful. He's still a very injury-prone back, and you don't want to get him too worn out too soon. So, but nevertheless, good victory, man. You know, you're pounding on them Rams as always. So, yeah, kudos to the Winers.
And two things you said. You said that they were going to be a very good team in the NFC West. Let's expand that a little bit. It's NFC, period. That's first off. Secondly, once again, he's not the main, CMC is not the main focal point of our team. We have other big players. So the load is not on him just to be the end-all, be-all. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I'm not concerned with him getting injured. I think he'll be fine. I think once Debo is back, oh my goodness.
No, it's going to be a problem. But I'll say this though. But CMC still is the most biggest threat, even though Debo has pretty much done a lot of what CMC has done. But just his mere presence and the fact that you give him a ball, because to be a decoy, you got to give the guy the ball once in a while, right? And I still think that CMC takes y'all over the top. Okay, Debo is great. We know what he can bring. We know how multifaceted he is as a player. But I do think that CMC takes you guys over the top. It's another shiny toy for Kyle Shanahan. And so, no, I mean, look, it's all good now in the NFC. Look, there is no dominant team in the NFC, so I see where you're going with that. All right, but you know, I think you just, you know, at the way it looks, you got to win your division first. I think you guys will most likely come out of your division. You know, Seattle, you know, they're going to have to probably end up getting a wild card somewhere in there because I think you're only going to get 2 teams coming out of that division. But you know, I understand. You know, you feeling good, so you know, you want to exaggerate a little bit. Have at it. It's all good. You won, so I give it to you.
It's not an exaggeration, but. You mentioned Cooper Kupp's injury. Just before we got on, Sean McVay is saying he doesn't think it's a serious injury and that he'll be able to play next game. Now, once again, that could be just gamemanship. He wants to see, and he doesn't want to tip off the severity of an injury, but only time will tell. We're going to see how the swelling, how he responds to the swelling. So he might be up. And if he's out for any time, forget about it. That team is done. Because unfortunately, as much as we think as McVay's an offensive genius, it's Kupp or bust. They don't have a running game that they can establish. Now, they have players that are supposed to be in the pipeline, but they're coming off injuries. So I think that will limit their ability to be a great team. It can't be Kupp or bust. You bought a good receiver in, and they just, once again, if teams can take away Cooper Kupp, easier said than done because he's a great receiver. Right. And you don't have a run game to keep us honest, no problem. No problem.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, it's your division to lose for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, because we already beat Seattle, so they're half a game ahead of us.
Yeah, so you already got the head-to-head on that one. You guys will see him again later in the year, I imagine, of course. So it's going to be I think it's still the y'all's division to lose for all intents and purposes. So yeah, so far so good. I like it.
Great.
Yeah.
I just want to get the pulse from our listeners. Do you think that CMC was the best acquisition so far? Let us know. Leave something in the comments. Let's talk about the Bills and the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll say this. Someone brought up a good point about the Bills. They looked very impressive. They looked like world beaters. Second half, they didn't do much. And they allow a team that they should have just stomped to get back in the game. Because really, they won by 10 points, but it really wasn't that competitive. but the score didn't reflect that.
No.
So unlike other teams, when they have an inferior team down, they annihilate them. The Bills will let you back in. You know, that's kind of a loser, underdog kind of overachiever mentality.
Right.
Oh, I really shouldn't be beating this team by 30 points. Maybe I should only beat them by 10. So that will prevent them possibly from making it to the next level. Because unlike them, the Chiefs expect to beat teams by 40 points. They want to show out, you know? So I think as bad as the Packers looked, the Bills look like they don't have that killer mentality, that just kind of, all right, let's just get done with them. Why is Josh Allen still playing in the fourth quarter? They should have blew them out. Josh Allen should have been icing his knees in the fourth quarter. But instead, you're throwing 2 picks. It's just, I don't think that was the best showing. They were superior to the Packers, but it just didn't look as dominant as it should. What do you think?
Well, I think the problem is with the Bills is that they really don't have what is considered to be a legit running game. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with them. They just don't have that type of run game, which is a little bit old school, to kind of ground and pound. They can eat up clock. You know, they can really dominate with that level of possession. And that's the thing that ends up getting teams back in, because when if they you know, because they're trying to hit the home run, you got Josh with a big arm. Josh is running. He's doing a lot of the running. Their main back only has Singletary only has about 300 something yards on the ground this year alone. He only averages about 3.5 a game yards per rush. And so they don't really have the guy Cook. James Cook is actually a pretty good back, but they don't give him enough carries. So they depend a lot on Josh. And I think what's going to hurt this team, if there is, in my opinion, a weakness to this team, it's actually their strength. And the problem is that they're too focused on the live or die with Josh. And I get it. He's the superstar. Pretty much right? We saw the Patriots for the last 20 years. They're going to live and die with Brady, right? I mean, we know that. And we look at Kansas City. They're built the same way. And they just added more toys to him as well. But the thing is this, a run game. You need to still have a consistent run game. You got to be able to control the clock. You got to be able to keep your defense rested. You got to be able to know how to put teams away with that, and not always think you're going to blow teams out. And to your point, that's what they've been trying to do. They didn't play a great game at all. You're right. They didn't look good at all, particularly in the second half. And which is just a testament of how bad the Packers are and how bad really that team is offensively, the way it looks. I mean, Aaron, the running back, I forget his last name.
Aaron Jones.
Jones, yes, thank you, sir. He had some nice runs, I thought, in the game. I actually thought the receivers for the Packers played a little bit better. They really made some good catches. Aaron made some good throws, but at the end of the day, that team just doesn't have it. They're not there yet. And it's just a testament of how bad they really are for the Bills to not play their A game, more like a C and a half game, if you will, if you have to grade their performance, but they were still able to pull that game out. So, I still think Buffalo is, the second best team in the league, in my opinion. Me, I'm a Pat Mahomes guy. I still think he's the guy to overcome when it's all said and done. But good win for Buffalo. But that's a good point that you made. They're going to have to be able to get a run game if they're going to be able to really be able to convincingly put some teams away.
And honestly, I think that's the piece that's causing them not to be unstoppable.
Right.
Also, the Packers, what a big glaring hole. Devontae and Aaron Rodgers, they missed each other yesterday.
Big time.
Devontae, 1 reception and 3 yards.
1 reception. That's it.
And so sometimes the grass isn't green on the other side. And I think they're both learning that. I mean, they both got the bag. Good for them. They got the money.
They got their money.
Aaron Rodgers wanted a longer extension. He wanted 3 years. 3 years extension, $50 million a year. You got your money. Yep. But if you're throwing it to you and I, okay, you sacrificed wins, victories, legacy for the bag.
Yeah.
So don't complain about it. Nope. I don't care if you go to the mountains and you take all kind of hallucinating drugs. It does not matter. When you come through, when your eyes stop from rolling in your head, lost. Still a loser.
Still
in this world and in the afterlife. Loser. So, I mean, and Devontae, you got the bag. You got your... Hey, we were on a white rafting trip and we almost capsized. Loser. When you climb back on, before you split your head on a rock, loser.
Loser.
So
that's it. No, I agree. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep.
But let's talk about, you got the stars on your shoulder. Let's talk a little about the Cowboys.
Well, I didn't even notice. I didn't realize.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff. Okay.
My bad. Yeah. I'll let you start. Let's talk about the running backs.
Well, listen. Okay, let's jump right into this. I know the whole world, particularly national media, and everybody's saying, oh, we got to start Tony Pollard. He needs to be the main back. He needs to be the guy with the most touches more than Zeke. And I'm here to tell you emphatically, not so. Okay? Not so. And I'm going to tell you why. The thing is this. We got to understand something. Tony Pollard is kind of like your Aaron Judge, right? He's your home run hitter. You're not looking for Aaron Judge to be in a batting lineup 3 times, okay, right? He can only bat 4 times a game, possibly 5, depending upon how many innings a game goes. The truth of the matter is with Tony Pollard has never gotten more than 20 carries his whole career, even in college. The most he's ever carried the ball was 17 times in college. He's not a bell cow back, and he cannot block to save his life. So in pass protection situations, Pollard is the worst. Dak has gotten his head torn off on many occasions when Pollard is out there. The reality is you got to keep the complementary backfield. Zeke is your bell cow. Zeke is your guy. He's got to get the ball at least 20 times, and Pollard only had 14 carries yesterday. So even with Zeke out, he didn't get a lot of run. Okay, Malik got some run there, and I think he carried the ball about 8 times or whatever it was. So Dallas didn't run more than 20 times yesterday in total. And the truth of the matter is that Pollard is a great back. He's a home run. He's a guy that can hit the holes. He's got great vision. He gets his foot planted well. He knows how to shift and improvise once he gets into the second level. He is an amazing back. He is what Zeke was back in 16, 17, and 18. We know Zeke can't take it to the house anymore. We know Zeke has lost a step, but that's okay. He's going to ground. He's going to pound. He's going to get you the yards. He's going to get you what you need, and he can block. If you go 60-40 between Zeke and Pollard, that's fine, because if Pollard don't need a lot of touches. The fact is, because he's such a home run hitter, you actually preserve him. He can be preserved. You understand? His body doesn't have to take a pounding because he's not a bell cow back. He's still very small. He can get pounded if you try to give him the ball 20, 25 times a game. You can't do that. I think the way the Cowboys are playing them, I think it's the right way. I think Cowboy fans, and I have to say, I love Cowboy Nation, but most of them can be very delusional. Their eyes get real big. They get real wide. They see all of the great stuff that Tony Pollard does every time he carries the ball. But again, you cannot make him your bell cow. He cannot be. I mean, in Dallas media, you got people talking about just get rid of Zeke. Why don't we should trade him before the deadline tomorrow? No, you don't do that. Zeke is still your guy, okay? And look, next year you're going to sign Pollard. You're going to get him that, and we're going to have to. We're going to need to. It would be crazy if Jerry lets him walk. And he's going to definitely get a lot of attention in free agency, particularly from the Rams, I would imagine. But the truth of the matter is, you got to keep Pollard. You got to keep Zeke. 60-40, 55-45, however you want to do it, all right? But Zeke is still your guy until otherwise.
Okay, so based on what you're saying, you feel that Zeke should get the lion's share of the carries?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so how could it be that you're just
Well, let me say this to you. I won't say the lion's share. Let me retract that. Not the lion's share. I do think that Pollard should get the ball a little bit more than what he's gotten, but I'm responding to this overwhelming response or reaction, I would say, that people are just flat out wanting to make Pollard the bell cow back, and he needs to get at least 10 to 15 more touches than what he's getting now. And that's the part I refute. So I don't want to necessarily say that, Zeke should get an overwhelming amount of carries more than Pollard. Pollard should carry the ball a little bit more than what Zeke gets or what Pollard's getting now. But I still think you need the complementary thing. You got to use them the way you've been using them so far this year, and it's been working. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I was hoping on our last show, I kind of predicted that Pollard would have 125 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he exceeded. He far exceeded. 131 yards and 3 touchdowns. Thank you, Pollard.
Come on.
I don't have a problem with that. He played well.
And he did that, D. Listen, he did that with only 14 carries. You understand?
But now you're undermining your argument, because if he had 28 out, let's say he had 28 carries, what would his numbers be? See, you can't say that he had 300 yards rushing with only 10 carries. Okay, we'll give him 20. He'd have 600 yards. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but
I understand what you're saying.
People are downplaying his capabilities, and who's to say that you're assuming that he can't take a greater workload, but maybe he can.
Well, here's the key. It's not that we need more out of Pollard. It's all about efficiency because, again, you still have a very good, well-rounded offense. You got Dak, who was dealing yesterday. He was out there throwing the ball really, really well. We got some really good tight ends. He was CD down there in the seam. He was dealing yesterday. So, again, if you are a team like Chicago, who can do nothing but run the ball.
So let's not get too excited.
But they have a very good secondary. Chicago has a very, very. We did against the Bears, and no other team has been able to do this year. They have a very, very. They got one of the top secondaries in the league. Their pass coverage is very good, and they got 2 Pro Bowlers back there. They're a really good defensive team on the back end, but you don't need Pollard to carry the ball 25 times and double the amount of yards he had yesterday, when all you need him to do is to be efficient, to be able to move the ball and the chunks in which he did, and that still opens up things for Dak and keeps the defense honest. So it's not about more. That's the problem with the Cowboy fans out there. We want more, but then what happens is with all of that you get more, we're going to end up either becoming one-dimensional. You're going to then miss out on keeping a defense honest because remember, you still got a pretty good quarterback in Dak Prescott. I'm not saying he's Holmes or Josh Allen, but he's a really good quarterback that can throw the football. So we're not totally reliant on the run, but Pollard is a great, great addition and a dimension to what we do. I do think a couple more carries here and there, more situational though. It depends on where Dallas is. We need that home run. We kind of need that break. We need that pop. And I think there were times when Dallas did not use him effectively in certain games when we were stagnant offensively, particularly during the Cooper Rush regime, if you will, when he was running the show. But I do think that Dallas still needs to keep the complimentary thing going. And again, less yards. And he helped out your fantasy, man. That's what we do. Look, we're here to help, man. We're here to help. We got you, man. I called Tony. I said, Tony, look. Don needs his fantasy numbers and stuff. Help a brother out.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome, sir.
Okay, well, let's move to the NBA.
NBA, woo!
Now I know. Now you're ready to talk about the NBA, right?
Can we both hold up 2? That's how many wins we got between.
One each.
One each. That's right. You hold a 1, I'll hold a 1. There you go. That's it.
Something I've seen over the last 2 games for the Lakers that I was actually pretty impressed with.
Okay.
Russel Westbrook seems willing to come off the bench. And I think he has kind of given a pop to the entire team.
I agree.
His willingness when a superstar, people always talk about Kobe Bryant, how he was such a great player,
right?
But he put in the time as if he was a bench player trying to get on.
That's what he
would be
said.
there in the morning. He would outwork everyone. Although he was immensely talented and gifted,
Correct.
He was still outworking people.
Yes.
So there's a lot to be said. I mean, people talk about Tom Brady the same way.
Right.
It's a lot to be said about a future Hall of Famer,
right?
A player that has, as far as name recognition,
right.
is a household name.
Right.
Sometimes for good, sometimes for bad, but he's a household name.
Right.
When you see him swallow his pride and he's willing to come off the bench, when he's, hey, listen, at the end of the day, I'll come off the bench for $47 million. But once again, it's about pride.
Right.
It's about why you came to the team.
Right.
What the expectations were once you got there.
Right.
They were expecting you to be the missing piece.
Right.
And that comes in different shapes and forms.
Yep.
And that you might be the missing piece, but running the second unit. And that's a big step for his pride.
Yeah.
That, hey, I'm going to run the second unit. I'm going to let, quote unquote, Russell cook.
Right.
You know, he can cook on running the second unit.
Yeah.
He seemed more joyful. He seemed more like himself.
Yep.
And that's infectious with the entire team. Because if he's willing to do what it takes,
right,
then other players will step up.
Right.
And I think that was very encouraging, especially for Lakers fans. Now, Darvin Ham, kudos to him for not just being all talk, but actually having some action and being able to, coerce him, encourage him, admonish him, get him to take that place willingly. Because he still, he has started his minutes. He did, I think, 32 minutes. So that's decent.
Yeah.
But running the second unit, I think, has made a big difference. And for them to beat the Denver Nuggets, good job.
Yeah, good job for them. And that was, again, a good win against, obviously, a very formidable opponent in the Nuggets. I think it was a good win for them. Nuggets don't play well on the road, at least not so far in this season. But the thing that concerns me with this, right, when you look at Westbrook coming off the bench, and to your point, he's out there, he can control the second unit. It's almost like playing back at OKC without KD, right? It's almost like, look, I'm going to take the rock. I'm going to dominate the rock because there's nobody on this bench that's going to demand the rock but me, right? So Russell really gets to be this selfish player, right, that he's often accused of being, right? Because with the second unit, it works to his advantage, right? I don't think he ever saw that because his pride, as you said, D, it always got in the way. But now he's like, look, man, I got these guys. They can't shoot no more than what I can. So you know what? I'm going to hog the ball. Ball's going to be in my hands. But the problem I have is what happens when it comes down to the end of the game, right? When you get into the crunch of the fourth quarter, are you going to play Russ or are you going to leave him on the bench? And I think that's the second level of pride the Lakers are going to have to deal with. That second level, you know what I'm trying to say, of his pride that they're going to need to confront. Because he's on the bench in those critical moments, and we still know Russ is a turnover machine. And you don't mind him turning the ball over 400 times in the first half, but it's in the second half when there is about 4 minutes left to play, 3 minutes left to play, 2 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter with a very tightly contested game, and Russ does something boneheaded, like take a bad shot, you know what I mean? Or just turn the ball over, being erratic and out of control. And I think that's the thing the Lakers are still going to have to look at. But look, they got a good victory yesterday. They're ninth in defense. They only give up, 110 points or so a game, but they still give up 115, and we're with second to last in defense, or last in defense, if I'm not mistaken. And so we don't really look good. Not on defense, in offense. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Ninth in defense, but we're like bottom of the barrel in offense. And so, as you all know, we're still a poorly shooting team. So, but listen, I think it's a step in the right direction. I still think the Lakers need to go in and do the trade. I think even Miles Turner came out and said that the Lakers need to explore getting him over there to LA. So, and look, Buddy Hield, we sure wouldn't mind having him. The way he looked the other night, against your Nets, that'd be a nice segue to kind of, bring you in there with your New Jersey Pets. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
It's all good. The Nets are still working through a lot of stuff.
Yep.
They have a lot of social hurdles that they have to overcome.
Yep.
I think they're maturing as we speak. They have growing pains. Okay, so you have the issue of ingratiating Ben Simmons. He has been more aggressive, and he looks like he's willing to shoot a little more. It's baby steps. So
right.
There's a lot of season left.
Yeah.
I think that you're dealing with personalities, huge personalities. Some are more vocal, Kyrie Irving, right?
Right.
And some have big personalities that are non-vocal, like KD.
Right.
KD has a big personality. He's just not a person that craves attention from social media, right?
Right.
But within that team, it's big on body language. So when KD's in it and when he's not in it.
Right.
So I think that's the thing that they're dealing with behind the scenes. I mean, they're losing winnable games, right?
Yeah.
All the games that they lost have been relatively close.
Yeah.
And it's a quarter or a half a quarter where the opposing teams gets on a run, and then that's it. It blows them out, takes the wind out of their sails, and not that they give up, but I think they just need to mesh and create and have that grit to face adversity and still, hey, we're going to win. We're going to do what it takes to win. I think Steve Nash is on the hottest seat in the NBA. The hottest seat. His days may be numbered. And maybe, just maybe, because Katie already said it's him or me. Who's to say that they're not losing these games? Because I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist.
Who's
to say that they're not dropping these games to highlight his inability to create or X's and O's to in-game manage, set up some kind of play for them to win winnable games instead of dropping them. So maybe it's their way of getting him out. What do you say?
I know. Listen, man, D. I didn't think of that. And when they had that team meeting, players only meeting rather. Of course, I was going to, mess around with you and let you know that they were definitely talking about probably finding a way to get rid of Nash. And you know what? You may not be totally wrong in that. They may be just, fronting to lose these games, throwing these games because they want Nash out. Look, like you said, his seat is so hot. That's why he stands on the sidelines a lot. He can't go sit down. It's too easy sitting on a stove when he's on the sideline. So the problem is, when you look at the Nets, though, I do think that, and it's going to be a process for Simmons, but, I'm going to tell you, though, he's going to have to accelerate that process, though, at some point. He's got to be able to get in there. Look, he shot. I'm just going to run some numbers at you real quick. I'm not a numbers guy. I don't get into all the statistics and analytics always. But, the other night against Indiana, Simmons was 3 of 7, and he was 3 of 5 from the free throw line, right? He had 8 boards. He had 9 assists, right? But he had a minus 11 in differential there. The thing is this: if he takes some more shots, right? If the Nets give him some freedom to miss some shots, I think you're going to see him make some shots. And I think that's the thing, that you got to get this guy into this area where he just go ahead and get rolled with it. Become Russel Westbrook if you need to, right? Just get erratic, because I think if he just gets to a place where he just doesn't care, I think you're going to see him get more comfortable with taking shots, going to the hole. He can finish around the basket. He's always been good with that. And I think they got to speed that up. But then you also look at Curry, who only played 18 minutes. So obviously they're working him back in. But he was 0 for 5, right? When you look at the Nets technically, they're last in defense. They give up 133 points, but they only score about 123, right? So that's about a 10-point differential. You get a couple of more threes out of not Steph, but his brother Curry. Seth Curry. You get some points out of Seth, right? Now you're starting your offense can become your defense to a degree. And O'Neal is actually shooting pretty good too. He was 3 of 6. He shot 50% the other night from 3. So I think you're going to have to get in. And Joe Harris and Harris was 2 of 5 from the 3-point range as well. I think what's got to happen with the Nets is I think Simmons has got to push it along, and they got to find out what to do with the other guys. The other players on that team outside of Kyrie and KD, these other guys got to get into a role. They've got to kind of find their lane. They got to know their assignments, and they got to know what they can bring. And I'll tell you the truth, I still think you guys would benefit, if it's possible, from a third scorer, a guy that can give you about 18 a game, all right, consistently, and be able to put some stuff up there. That's why I thought with the Harden thing, it really worked for you guys, in my opinion, from what I saw. The only thing that derailed that project was the injuries. And then, of course, later on,
Kyrie also
his issues. Yeah, that was it. I think Harden was like, look, I don't want to play with this guy. He's just too much. But I think when you look at what they had on the floor together, with Harden kind of running things there, where he can score and facilitate, it was a really good thing y'all had at that point. But it's a lot of basketball left, man. So the Nets, we're going to see. We're going to definitely see. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So
yeah, I think so too. Definitely when Harden there, I think Harden wanted to go because he doesn't have a ring, and Kyrie seemed, lukewarm about basketball. He was worried about a lot of other stuff. He spewed him. He spewed him out. They spit him all the way to Philly.
Right.
To Philly. He was at Philly. So, other than that, I think the Nets have a bright future. They replaced Steve Nash's seat with a Foreman grill, because he's on a hot seat. That man is on a hot seat. You understand me?
Right.
He needs to. He
needs
to be on a hot seat.
Yeah, I agree.
He is the McCarthy of the NBA. Just staring up, looking up. I'm telling you, until they get rid of him, he's the McCarthy of the NBA. He's always looking. His eyes are always there. Set there. Right. I used to have a Chihuahua, and every once in a while, those eyes would go off. That's Steve Nash.
Let me ask you this though, D. I want to ask you this real quick. What's your thoughts about Kyrie and the backlash he gets from his social media? Right. I don't know if you got it. You heard anything? He kind of got into with the reporter the other day, the post game, and about the whole Joe Rogan thing, and he was accused of supporting Joe Rogan, as we know, who made this blasphemous, allegations about, Sandy Hook, not being real and all these other things. But what's your take? Do you think Kyrie gets a bad rap? He said, "Look, I'm just posting something. It didn't mean anything. People take it out of context and different things like that." What do you think is the issue with Kyrie and the media and how he's being perceived?
Okay, so I think Kyrie he's the type of person that he has his certain feelings and opinions on stuff. The biggest mistake that the media can do is try to back him into a corner. Once you do that, Kyrie's personality is the type that gets dug in. And even if he doesn't feel wholeheartedly about a particular subject or stance, once you back him in, He's fully dug in. He's
Right.
fully dug in, and at that point, it's about his pride. It's about his right to choose. It's about his civil liberties. He doesn't want to feel like he's a conformist. He doesn't want to feel like, whether he's a high-paid basketball player or he's just, Joe the plumber. He doesn't want to feel. What's so crazy is he's affluent. He's a very talented basketball player that has a huge platform.
Right.
But he wants to seem like he's just, I'm just the guy, the barista at Starbucks. No, you can afford to say, I will not get vaccinated because they said, go home and we're going to pay you $17 million.
Wow. Yep.
Other people where the job drew a line in the sand and it's either get vaccinated or be fired.
Will be fired.
Those people, you have really nothing in common with them.
Nope.
It's good to have a person that has influence and wealth to understand the plight of the common man. But realistically speaking, yeah, you lost 17 million, but who wouldn't? Hey, listen, people would be a stick pin if they could get $17 million.
Absolutely.
They would be voodoo dolls. You could voodoo doll somebody for 17 million. So right. I know he likes, that's kind of his thing, to feel like, I can relate with your infirmities and I feel what you feel. But realistically speaking, that's not the case. But when he, it doesn't matter because Joe Tsai could put out things and tweet about condemning who he supports. That's not going to affect Kyrie because at the end of his day, his money is guaranteed, and it's like, okay, move me. You don't like what I say? Move me. If it's not affecting his play, a person still, and this is what I do agree with, a person has a right to their opinion. We can't force somebody or if it's not something that's directly affecting our said profession, right? Mm-hmm. Something that, let's say, the companies we work for, if it doesn't directly go against their mission statement from a standpoint of the services that they provide, right?
Right.
That if let's just say you worked at a hospital, but there's a certain group of people that I'm not going to treat. Well, then that's a major problem. But if a person has an opinion on something and has the platform to express it, freedom of speech is freedom of speech.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I just think the players today, it's a lot different. The climate, the whole, atmospheric conditions of sports in general, is a lot different today. That these guys at the play, when you look at, not to say it's totally different. We saw during the civil rights movement, and you had your Muhammad Ali's, you had your Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's, your Bill Russells, all of these guys. Who's that now?
Jim Brown.
Yes, Jim Brown, absolutely. And these guys, certainly, understood and was able, to your point, unlike Kyrie, to that degree, at least it doesn't feel like he's attached in that sense. But these guys really were in the struggle and really, relating to their communities. And so, but I think it's something today, social media has heightened everything up. I always wondered with Jordan and how he would respond if he played in an era of social media, you know what I mean? Because, he was a little thin-skinned too. He didn't like criticism, you know what I mean? So I could see him kind of coming back in different things, a lot of the things we accuse LeBron and these guys are doing today, when they hear some negative things in situations like that, and when they comment on different things in the social arena and how it can impact them in the way that they play. And so, it's always a very interesting thing. These athletes are definitely dealing with a lot as it relates to what they see going on in their communities and trying to be vocal about it. And then, of course, there's always the backlash. There's a lot of the things that come with their comments. And, they're either going to be accused of being out of touch, uninformed, uneducated, which is the case with LeBron in most cases, saying things. And a lot of the, people would say, well, LeBron isn't in touch. He doesn't know. He's not as educated, right? And so, like you said, guys have an opportunity to say what they want to say, but we understand it's going to come with some backlash, some reaction, or some level of response. But yeah, just want to, kind of just, man, it just again, Kyrie's he's a weird dude,
yeah,
but you know what, though? Yeah, he's a weird dude, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded before the deadline, because they're not signing him back, and I think they're gonna want to get something for him before the mid-season, before the trade deadline. That's just my opinion.
That may happen. It won't be the Lakers. So as long as it's not the Lakers and we get some pieces back, cool. One thing you did say, Jordan, if he was playing during this social media age, I think Jordan would have fell into the category of shut up and dribble, because when people were asking him about how he felt about young people dying over $200 Jordans,
right?
He's silent. He would open a hospital in North Carolina, but the things that he could deal with on a grand scale, hearing Michael Jordan either speak up or condemn or try to adjust the prices. I mean, because he is Nike at the end of the day. No question. He had power to do that. I don't think he would use his powers for good. That's just my opinion.
I have to tend to agree with you on that one. Nah, Mike ain't messing up that milk. Not at all, bro. Nah, not at all.
So sometimes
he's silent now. I mean,
right.
Yeah. He ain't saying much about nothing.
And we see, I saw a funny meme. LeBron they always catch pictures of him looking at books, and it's always on the first page. So he may not know much, but at least for photo ops, he has the book. I mean, all kind of powerful, empowering books, but he's only on the first page.
Right.
He's on the preface. He's not even on. So
he's reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he looks up and go, I think Martin Luther King was a great man.
Exactly.
Bro, that's Malcolm X. You read autobiography.
Exactly.
Right. But anyway, that's my guy. He's all right.
Yes, I like LeBron.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we wrap up, we got a game tonight. Starting shortly.
Yep.
We got the Cleveland Browns. And we have the Cincinnati Bengals without Jamar Chase. Because the hips do lie. Shakira told him hips don't lie, but those hips do lie. He's going to be out 4 weeks because he got a second opinion. And the coach said that they didn't put him on IR because they think he'll only be out 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is good because they also have a bye week mixed in. So good for him. Hopefully, speedy recovery.
Right.
But who do you like tonight? I think.
Okay.
I'm going out on a limb.
Oh boy.
Cleveland Browns win.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a heavy dose of Chubb. Nick Chubb is going to run all over the Bengals. That's just my opinion. I think Jacoby Brissett is good enough. He doesn't make a lot of costly passes, and your ex-boy Amari Cooper is going to have a good game.
Oh, you think so?
I think so.
You think so? Okay. I think Cleveland just does it to themselves every single time. I just think they're just a team that's at some point they're going to have to put the ball in Jacoby's hands. And anytime Jacoby has to throw the ball at least 30 times, which I don't understand why they need to do, but when he does that, his QBR is horrendous. And really, he's just not that dude. He ain't it. You know what I'm saying? That as we say, that ain't it, man. That guy right there, putting anything into his hands is going to be a problem. You're right. It's going to have to be a lot of Chubb.
And Kareem Hunt.
And Kareem Hunt. They're going to have to get a lot. And Kareem hasn't really touched the ball much. He's only got 66 attempts this year, which isn't a lot, but yet he's still averaging 4 yards a pop. But the truth of the matter is, you're going to get a lot of Chubb. He leads the league in rushing. The boy, he's averaging nearly 6 yards a carry. So you're going to have to get him. But the problem again is Jacoby. Jacoby is just not that guy. At some point, you're going to have to trust him to throw the ball. And I think that's what the problem is. But I will say this. I got Cincinnati tonight. But we got to see Joe Mixon play. Joe Mixon barely has 400 yards in the season. This guy ran for 1,200 last year. He hasn't ran the ball really well this year at all. Doesn't even have a 100-yard game yet this season. So now with Chase out, right, you know, the way they're going to roll the coverages now, and Boyd is good, Higgins is good, but we're going to see how good they really are without Chase, who demands a lot of attention. So if they can get their separation, they can get open, they can beat their one-on-one matchups. You know, Burrow will get the ball to them, but I think they got to be able to run the ball tonight. You got to see Mixon play well. He needs at least 100 yards or an effective running game for them to, I think, to really win this game. It could go either way, but I still like Cincinnati because I think Burrow's going to get them over the top. And they won, 4 out of their last 5. They're really looking good. You know,
they do.
But,
they do for a loss. Can I get a quick score before we close?
I'm going to go with I'm going to say 28-20.
Oh, okay.
28-20, Cincinnati. Okay. I'm going to go with that. Yeah. Because I think I'm impeccable this season, aren't I? As I look up like Mike McCarthy.
Right.
I don't think I've lost yet in my predictions this year, you know?
Okay. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns, 24-21.
24-21. All right. Yeah. Well, they need to win. They need to definitely win. They got to keep it. They got to keep it close enough for your boy to get back before Deshaun gets back. And boy, that's going to be a whole nother thing when he gets back. So,
and if Myles Garrett plays, he will get at least a sack.
Oh yeah, no question. Oh, he's good for a sack, no doubt, and at least about 4 to 5 pressures. So no question about that. Easily. So yeah, man.
This was another great show.
Another great show, man.
Awesome. Good talking with you.
Always.
And we'll be back on Friday talking about Week 9. Thank you for joining us. Please like, subscribe, share. Yep. Please.
That's
it. It helps the page out tremendously.
We appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Join us again next week. Thank you.